Temerity Goldhorn was supposed to be a cleric. Born in Kota City, the capital of Kao, the young tiefling grew up among elves in a city renowned for its deep history and powerful magic. Temerity's father was there the day the gods broke their silence and returned to Amaranth. He was just a child then, but on that day he changed his name to Creed and dedicated himself to the service of Magos, the god of learning, knowledge, and magic. Temerity has never known him by another name, although he and his older sister Glory have passed many an evening shift at their family's temple, speculating about what it might have been. The siblings grew up tending to the temple and learning the ways of Magos under their parents' watchful guidance. Most evenings, Glory and Temerity, affectionately known as Tam by his family, were expected to help their father at the temple as initiates. In addition to traditional schooling, their mother Freya would bring them on regular trips with her to the library where she worked as an archivist. There, she would point them to various books of magic and history, a whole extra curriculum designed to immerse them in the teachings of Magos. Always the more disciplined of the pair, Glory took to her studies with efficiency and grace. She could disappear into a dusty old tome for hours and appear to enjoy it. Tam, however, was constitutionally bad at reading. Most books bored him. He had trouble focusing and could never sit still in the library. He was often reprimanded for whistling loudly while everyone around him tried to read. He still liked stories, though, particularly in ballad form. During the rare evenings he could slip away from his duties, there was nowhere Tam preferred to be than outside the College of Seven Songs, where there were always minstrels and bards practicing their trade. As a child, he would learn the tunes the minstrel played and whistle them back, a charming skill that eventually earned the attention of an old elvish fiddler who took a liking to him and lent him an instrument. As soon as he had a fiddle in his hand, it became clear that he was a natural musician. All the skill Temerity lacked in book learning, he more than made up for in creativity. Though his father initially worried about his dedication to his studies, Temerity convinced his parents to let him take some time off from the library and temple duties to learn to play, promising to play music in temple services. He played beautifully during services, but music was a distraction. As he grew, Tam became increasingly unhappy with his duties at the temple, slacking off and daydreaming constantly. Everyone at the temple expected him to be so stuffy. Only his sister seemed to understand his frustration. He didn't know that she had frustrations of her own until, one night, Glory told him she'd fallen deeply in love with someone she couldn't be with unless she moved far away from Kao. Her love, an inventor from Ceres, had only planned on being in Kota City a short time. She'd stayed to get to know Glory better, but had to return to her shop and the life that she'd left there. The lovers had been writing letters and sending messages across the sea for years. Glory wanted to go. She wanted to go so badly, but her duties were here, and Creed and Freya had expectations for both of them. One of them, at least, would be expected to carry on the temple's legacy, and both of their parents were getting older. For 6 months, this new revelation refocused Tam. He tried hard to love his studies, to give everything he could to the temple, and to not slack off so much so his sister could be with her beloved. But then, one fateful day, he met a musician named Adon who carried an unfamiliar holy symbol. A fiddle with no strings, with an eye in its middle. Adon smiled and told him the symbol belonged to the fiddler, the god of song, story, and histories, and Tam knew in that moment that he'd been raised to worship the wrong god. He spent the whole afternoon and into the evening asking Adon about the fiddler. He discovered that the cleric had trained at the Marigard Academy in Farum, learning skills and magic there. Tam missed his shift at the temple, and he didn't care. He spent all night walking on his own, thinking what he wanted to do with his life, what would happen if he stayed here, at the wrong temple, in the wrong life. The next morning he approached his family with a plan. He told them he was having a crisis of faith. He needed time away from the temple, exploring and learning from something other than books. He proposed that he should enroll in the Merigard Academy for a year. He could take classes as a cleric and come back to bring his newly honed talents to the temple. It took a lot of convincing, but with the help of his sister, he was able to secure his parents' blessing and some of the 100 gold tuition that he would need. He didn't tell anyone, not even his sister, that he wanted to go to the academy to learn more about the fiddler. He also didn't tell them that he intended to enroll as a bard. Amaranth is a world in recovery. Only a century ago, the people of Amaranth were starved of divine magics, relying on their own ingenuity and the arcane to create and prosper where the gods were missing. But not all was so straightforward. Necromancy and the twisting of life by the weave has run rampant for millennia. The War of the Dead, a coup attempt by a powerful group of necromantic wizards to take over the powers in Amaranth, was only barely thwarted, and the scars of those battles still mar the landscape. Skeletons and ghouls, wraiths and walking corpses aimlessly wander, seeking sustenance or the chance to capture a new soul, attacking innocents in towns at random. For centuries, the world was in strife, as all the nations fought together to defeat the threat of undeath, and they were losing. Finally, the fall happened. A great asteroid fell into the crystal ocean, and with it the gods returned. Immediately, they purged the land of the walking dead. Skeletons and zombies immediately destroyed as the lost souls were restored by the patient and guiding hands of Croesus himself, or at least his avatar. With the return of the gods, the efforts of a group of heroes known as the Wanderers, the practice of the divine magics was restored, and clerics and paladins of all faiths emerged stronger than ever before in this new age of miracles. 100 years later, as the landscape has continued its recovery, new and troubling issues arise. A tentative cold war brews between the naval country of Tridon and the Arcanatech nation of Ceres, and the world watches with bated breath as new and more dangerous threats arise. But our story does not look to these countries or even their problems. In a world filled with stories, Amaranth always has a tale to tell of life and death, of heroes and villains, but not this one. Instead, this story focuses upon a young tiefling standing just outside the gates of the Merigard's fortress. From what you've heard, the Merigard Academy is unusual. It could be described as a school, though what you might learn there varies so greatly that anyone declaring alumnus might be turned away from academics simply on principle. It is better described as a guild, or a fortress, even a castle built centuries ago that the fishing town of Farum grew off of like an affectionate mole. It is a guild with a reputation across all of Amaranth, where the mercenaries who fight for the Merigard are told to be champions, or geniuses, or saviors, or villains. The Merigard is unusual. It is founded within the borders of Aurelia, the golden green nation of trade and mixed cultures, but the Merigard swears no fealty. It provides contracts to those who pay for them, with no concern for allegiance or retribution. The one constant is that if you hire Merigard contractors and you do not pay for their service, they will never help you again. The Merigard Academy, as you stand before it, is everything you heard it was, physically, it seems. A stout, gray stone keep is sentineled by spires. Arrow-slit windows and protected battlements remark of a history in the structures. The main keep itself appears only 2 or 3 stories in height, although it appears wider than you can tell from here. Trees and archery butts block your view after a ways. To the sides of a stone path ahead, you see the grounds of the academy are well kept, flat stretches of grass that appear tended to by careful hands, or perhaps by the horses that you hear chuffing and pacing within a large stable to your right. Short fences and paddocks weave between high trees and boulders throughout the grounds to your left, some of which showing signs of wear or practice. Banners of the Merigard hung from high spires flap lazily in the breeze, the sunlight dancing across the crimson fabric. The spires bastion the keep at all corners, and they reach high above the walls with large windows. Within some, You can see flashes of light. Your ears fill with the symphony of effort. Sounds of clashing blades and shouted commands echo from training yards you can't quite see. Resounding thunder and staccato thumps accompany smoke that rises from within the keep. And you witness lights drop from the sky in places that don't quite make sense. It is your story, Tam, as you stand before the Marigold Academy. What do you do?
Tam is fully a tourist. He is like looking like this way and then this way and then this way and like, wow, wow. um I think the first thing that would probably catch, I mean, like, he would be really transfixed by the like the lights that are going off, and he'd maybe run toward them, and then he'd run toward the boulders, and then like go a little closer to the boulders and then go away from the boulders, and kind of it would be 5 minutes
Sure.
of circling.
Of just being
um
impressed by everything that he
of just
sees.
being impressed. Yeah. um,
Okay.
but then he'd finally kind of whistle a lot. He would whistle something old and maybe based on a hymn. uh he walked up the pass to the main gates.
Okay. The front door of the Marigold Academy is a massive wooden door, and it shows signs of being rebuilt. The whole castle does. You would notice the structure is clearly, the stones have been recut and resettled many times. So the history in the stonework, it sings of lost and maybe won battles in the past. It just sounds and looks old to you.
It's old. Is it older than stuff in KO?
Some of it.
Some of it.
Some of it.
Okay, because I imagine I'm used to old things. I'm
Yeah.
used to things looking pretty old. Okay. I think he's gonna like lay his hand on it, be like, "You got a story. You're gonna tell me." Yeah. Yeah. Okay, bye. And then he goes into the gates. They're open. Yeah, he
Yeah,
can
you
just
can just walk
destroy
in.
them. Cool.
The door opens at your touch, and you find yourself in a large foyer. There are all sorts of portraits along the walls, some of them bigger than others, but all of them showing people looking back at you. Some of them more impressive than others. And why don't you... What's your passive perception, real quick? Did I lose you?
12. 12.
12. Okay. The portrait that stands out the most to you is the largest one. It shows a Goliath with a very wide smirk curling up a corner at his cheek. He has a
Whoa.
massive battle axe behind him, and the tattoos that dapple across his neck and face appear almost tribal and aggressive with many hooked points. But the smirk belays it a little, almost makes you feel like at ease, as though he's not as intimidating as his first appearance might be. And below it, it says, Ilrad of the Mountain, fighter instructor.
This is a guy at this place?
Do you say that out loud?
Wow. Yes.
You hear, sounding slightly startled, a dwarven man behind the counter across the lobby from you looks up, and you see this man has dark brown hair dappled with salt and pepper and gray, tidying into all sorts of beads and bone rings that go through his beard. He has spectacles on, and he's looking up at you, and he says, "Aye, all the portraits are instructors here. I'm sorry. Could I help you?"
Wow. Hi. Wow. Hi. Hi. My name is Temerity. I'm here to be a student. I have 100 gold.
Right, you're here to enroll. Fun. Perfect. You see he suddenly pulls out a ledger, and he thuds it down on the desk in front of you. And as he opens it up, you notice that there are names written down in this ledger, but you can't quite read them. As if they're fuzzy or blurred. You can't focus on them. But there is an open slot at the bottom, and he hands you a quill, and he says, "Please write down your name, and what you intend So you're enrolling, so go ahead, write your name and then enrollment.
Okay. Please don't.
One moment, you're very quiet.
Please spell. How do you spell enrollment?
ENR OLL.
2 L's, right?
Aye.
Yeah, okay. Got it. I'm sorry. I'm not very, like, I'm not the best writer. I had to do a lot of reading. I'm not really good at it. Sorry. This is a lot.
That's honestly, that's mighty fine. And as he looks down at the ledger, you're writing your true name, Temerity?
Temerity, yes. Temerity
Okay.
Goldenhorn.
All right. As you write down your name, he takes the book back and he says, to your right here, you'll find selections room. Once you're ready, you'll go in there, you'll choose your course of study, and then you'll pay your tuition to Maxwell, who will be aiding you.
Where is he?
Oh,
Or
he's
she?
in there as
Or,
well.
okay. Oh, okay. I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Can I be more than one thing?
For right now, you choose one course of study, and once you've passed the exam, we can then address if you'd like to take an additional training course.
Okay. That's another 100 gold, probably, right?
Unless you're working as a contractor at the time, yes, it'd be another additional 100 gold pieces.
Okay.
It all is depending on if you successfully pass your exams at the end of the year.
And the exams are probably different. They're probably different for everybody, right?
Aye.
Based on.
Yes. Your instructor is responsible
Sorry?
for creating your exam.
I'm sorry. Did I ask for your name? What's your name?
My name is Persh.
Hi, Persh. What did you study?
You see he actually looks a little surprised by the question, and he says, I did not study as a student of the Marigold Academy. I was recruited and have been working here for a long time.
Oh. So you must know everybody.
It is my job, yes, to manage every student that walks through the door and every contract that is signed.
Okay, well, who's nice?
Who's nice?
You know everybody, right? You sound like a guy to know.
Persh looks surprised by the question, and he says, well, many people are nice. It all depends. Look, I really do have quite a bit of work to do, so,
I'm sorry. Thanks.
no problem. And he pointedly looks back down at his desk, picks up the quill, and is back to writing on different parchments.
Sorry, Persh. I think before he goes into the door, he would look at the line of portraits. He's looking for two things. Are there any tieflings? And are there any clerics?
Are there any tieflings? You do not see a tiefling instructor. You do see a cleric instructor. It is an old-looking human who goes by the name of Varian Treat.
Varian Treat. Okay. Just gonna look at that for a little bit, and then what does the bard instructor look like?
The bard instructor looks like a half-elf with dark hair and a very wide, toothy smile that is almost a little intimidating. And it says that her name, as I look at my notes real quick, is Tally Soothsinger.
Soothsinger.
You see there is a streak of white down the front of her hair. She looks like she could be hard to read. She has the sort of face that looks like it's good at keeping secrets.
What a great name for a bard. What a great name for a bard. Okay, okay. I'll stop bothering you, Perch. Bye.
Hmm.
He'll run into the other room.
Okay. The room that you were pointed to, the selections room, is a simple brown door with a sign on the front that just says selections. As soon as you enter that room, immediately you are confronted by a massive table that is just absolutely laden with gear. Every single section of the table shows a different course of study, and above those sections is just a bag and a pile of equipment applicable to those classes. So this is where you would gather a lot of your bard equipment or anything that you didn't already have. You can access here.
This. Okay, so Temerity has been like smiling and big eyes and like full tourist until this moment.
Right.
And at this moment, his face completely falls, and he's gonna kind of like I think he would like drift toward wherever the cleric section is
Okay.
and just kind of investigate the gear.
Roll investigation.
14.
14. One moment, please. Oh, you rolled that. I would really prefer if you rolled in the Foundry, so they showed up on the thing.
I just did the click.
It's okay. New game. Who this? Well, we can stick with the 14. The first thing you notice is the cleric section has holy symbols and amulets for more, like, it's just a rack of countless holy symbols. Many of them you wouldn't even recognize at a glance. And there are symbols for Cathan, there's symbols for Calciox, Velisco, Croceus, Vale, Actesh, Pyrrhus and Tyrrhus, Luminous, Tindra. It's countless, and they're all names that rattle off in your mind from your studies, and then many, many more symbols that you do not recognize. Above them, you see there is a selection of armor. Things that they look heavy. Armor that you likely would not choose to wear. And then weapons. Heavy weapons. Maces and warhammers and swords and short blades and all sorts of equipment that seems as though the clerics that work for the Merigard look as though they spend more time fighting than they do healing. Aside from that, the most prominent thing you notice with that investigation is the component pouch that smells richly of incense and various herbs that is unavoidable.
Yeah, probably familiar too.
Yeah, you'd recognize them.
It's gonna kind of stand there and breathe in that scent. I don't. You can tell me from my investigation check. Would I notice the fiddler or Magos in there among the symbols, the holy symbols?
They're there. They seem just as uniform as all the other symbols, neatly on the rack.
Yeah, he would touch Magos and then touch the fiddler. Maybe even pick that one up and kind of hold it in his hand. And then put it back down.
You'd hear from behind you. A cleric then, eh?
Hi. Hi? Are you,
Good morning.
Good morning. Hi, my name is Tam. Temerity, but you can call me Tam.
Tam.
Yeah, hi.
I'm Maxwell.
Nice to meet you.
You see standing before you is a human with black hair, dark brown eyes, and is wearing clearly the sort of leathers you would wear if you were trying to not be seen. The man himself is he's not super tall, maybe 5'7", 5'6", and he looks completely unarmed. But you don't really believe that for a second. As he is kind of seated confidently on a stool, his feet are kicked up on the pedestal, and he has a book that is closed in his hands, and he says, "Here to sign up, are you?"
Yeah, yeah. Oh, are you the one that takes my gold? The purse didn't take it from me.
I am Maxwell, and once you've chosen your course, I will accept your gold from you.
Okay. Um, well, uh, he's gonna kind of wander back in the other direction and
Sure.
look at the bar stuff.
The bard stuff looks as though it's meant more for those light on their feet. You see, there is a fine suit of leather armor that looks like it's very well made. There is an assortment of bladed weapons and a whip. The bladed weapons are generally it's a rapier, a short sword, a dagger, a scimitar, the sort of things that look as though they can be quickly and deftly wielded, and also discreetly hidden about their person if they need them to be. There is a long wooden quarterstaff that runs down the line, and then next to that, you see finely crafted, beautifully ornamented musical instruments. You see a violin, you see a fiddle, you see a viola, almost in a line from going big to small. Then you see drums, a flute, bagpipes, uh, all sorts of instruments from the wind down to percussion, down to even horns and trumpets. And that is by far the most commanding section of the table. These instruments are taking up most of the space here. Below it all, you see a finely ornamented satchel, the sort of thing you'd carry over your shoulder. And all of these are embellished with the Merigard colors, which is crimson and gold. But they're not over the top. It's only fine paisley and scroll work that goes around the edges and the finishings of the garments. Mostly, they take on the dark brown of tanned leather and treated linen.
He's like he was lingering over with the cleric stuff. And as soon as he sees the fiddle, first one in the line, this like long breath escapes him, and he picks it up and he turns it over and he plucks at it to see if it's even a little bit in tune.
It is perfectly in tune.
He marvels at that. uh, and then he kind of looks over at Maxwell and goes, "Can I? Do you mind if?"
Maxwell just looks at you and says, "Take your time. I'm paid by the hour."
Gonna pick up.
You are cutting in and out pretty badly.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Can you hear me again?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay, yeah. He will pick up a bow and pick up the bell. Really kind of a sad song. It
Okay.
is a song.
Why don't you roll performance as you play this sad song? A 12. The fiddle is a little bit unfamiliar in your fingertips. The strings are a little bit softer than you're used to, and as such, you overfret a little bit, and the music comes out a little buzzy, but the song is recognizable.
He sighs and he picks up the fiddle. I don't know if there's like cases or a place that they hold them. Like,
I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry.
I don't know if there's like a holster or something like a case for them.
Yeah,
But
there are straps that you can use to hang the fiddle about you. There is no hard case, as there's not that much room on this table. But you're pretty confident it could fit easily into the satchel that is provided.
so he'll do that. He'll get some bard equipment and shrug the leathers on and say, "Okay, I never had a real fiddle that was just mine. Guess it's only mine for a year, but
Uh,
time, right?"
Maxwell looks at you and he says, "You're paying 100 gold, eh?
Yeah.
All right." And he holds out the ledger to you and he says, "Gold first, then write down your name and your course of study. And then this is, once you've paid, this is yours to keep."
Really?
Really, really. You're not much good to us if you're not equipped, are you?
I mean, yeah. I just thought, you did the study and then you have to give everything back.
No. You study, we train you, we test you. If you pass, we hire you. If you fail, we kick you out. You get to keep what you've purchased.
Okay. Um, Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll sign, but he will linger for like a noticeable amount of time before he writes down Bard.
As Maxwell sees that you've marked down Bard, he looks at you and he says, "You can always change your mind.
Really?
There's no refund, but you can."
Well, that's comforting.
He kind of
Okay,
slaps the ledger shut.
what now?
Do you give him the 100 gold?
Yes, yes. Gold first. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I will say that like it's not a pretty 100 gold. Like there's some silver and some copper in there.
It doesn't matter
uh,
to doesn't matter to Maxwell. He takes the bag, he opens it, he looks in it. You see him. It looks like he's just glancing at it, but that's too intentional a glance, and you're pretty sure he counts it just remarkably quickly. And as he closes the pouch, he tucks it away and he says, "Perfect. Right. Follow me. I will show you around."
follows real close. He's got his hand on the.
Okay. Maxwell leaves the selections room and he says, "First," and he immediately looks to the left, "that there is everyone's lovely Persh. He'll be handling contracts which, if you get hired. He will also be the first one you see whenever you return. He's also who you will be speaking to about arranging your free agencies. They will come up. You will be sent on jobs. He'll likely be handling them. Say hello, Persh." And Persh just glances up. We've been. He just like shakes his head and goes back down to his paper parchments, and Maxwell just always the same. Right, behind him you'll find the mess hall where you can get yourself something to eat. All day long there's food. Meals are served 6 a.m., 12 noon, 6 p.m. Other than that, there's always something to eat, but it's first come, first serve.
There's always something to eat.
Aye.
That's
Yep.
nice.
They're always hard at work in there, but don't tell them I said that, because it won't matter. Maxwell then turns back to the hall that you just left, and he says, "Bard's class is this way, so follow me."
Okay. Gonna meet a soothsayer.
She's all talk. Don't feel intimidated.
Well, I don't know how intimidated I really am around bards. Lots of them are all talk, I think. But they're good at it.
Well, they are at that. I can't argue. And Maxwell is leading you down the hall, and you notice that these doors are really close together. They are much closer together than would make sense for there to be actual rooms behind them. And finally, yeah.
What's behind there?
What? Behind this door?
Yeah, all of they look weird.
These are the classrooms.
Oh. Okay.
And as he turns and he gestures to the next door, which is finely painted in dark colors, Bard's study on the front of it. Maxwell says, "And here you are. Go ahead and introduce yourself, get shown around, and when you're all finished, I will show you to your dorm."
Hey. Thanks, Maxwell.
You're welcome.
Tell me, you teach, right?
I do. Aye.
What do you teach?
I'm the rogue instructor.
That makes sense.
He winks at you.
Cause, cause you're good at hiding and sneaking and stuff. Yeah, I didn't see you when you came in. Makes sense.
I was already there.
Really?
Mm-hmm. You walked right by me.
Well, that's why you're the teacher.
I'm pretty good at it, I'd admit.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll be right here. And he leans against the wall.
Tam will go in.
Okay, you go into the bard's classroom. You are immediately greeted by two students who look as though they're in the middle of playing music. They both turn and look back at you, but before they can say anything, from the top stage in the far side of the room, a tall, half-elven woman in a bright red tank top that looks more like scale mail than any sort of shirt would. You can mouse over these to see what they look like in larger.
Love it.
She looks at you and she says, "Is that a new student?" And
Yeah.
she immediately hops
Yeah, my
down
name
off
is
the stage.
Tam.
I love your energy. And as she marches down the wooden floor, the high heels of metal boots clacking on it, you see that to the left, a student that has what looks like a large lute, who is struggling to play the strings accurately, is a gnoll, a massive hyena-like man with red eyes who has a look of concentration on his face. He looks back at you, and he just kind of nods and says, "Hello." And then across the room from him is a red-haired woman who has what looks like a flute under one hand, but her arms are crossed. And she just nods at you. And as the woman in a red comes straight down the floor, approaching you, she says, "I'm so pleased you're here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Where are you from? First and foremost, I gotta know."
From KO. I'm from Coda City.
We got a city girl. City guy. Everybody. Oh my goodness. And you see that the other two, you get the feeling this is how they were greeted as well. As they look not excited or enthused, but they look a little tired. Or perhaps they've just been practicing for a while. You're not really sure. Why don't you roll me an insight check?
Cool. 10.
A 10. Yeah, they just look tired.
Can Tam, while he's greeting, is it possible for him to kind of inch toward hyena person? I don't remember his.
Sure. You don't know his name yet, but yeah, you can proceed toward him a little bit if you'd like.
He's the one that's struggling with the loot, right?
Yeah, he seems like he's having a hard time getting the long claws of his paw in the right position to play the lute accurately. But as you are kind of inching your way in, Tally says, "I'm always excited about a new student. You gotta tell me, how'd you hear about us? How'd you hear about me? You heard about me, right? Me? The suit singer?"
I saw your picture on the wall.
Good enough. Haha. The word does get around. I'm really glad you're here.
I'm glad to be here. I've never had an instrument that was just mine before.
Oh yeah, that's your first one?
Well, I mean, okay, so in Coda City, do you know the place called the College of Seven Songs?
Yeah, I know it. I studied there.
Did you train there? Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Well, see, I'm friends with a lot of bards there. I'm from a temple that's kind of close to there, and I would just kind of hang out a lot with them, and I borrowed their instruments.
The Temple of Pyrrhus?
No, Magos.
Magos. You see her vision, her eyes cloud as she's trying to remember.
Learning, knowledge, lots of books. He likes books.
You see Tally, the instructor, just kind of, Her eyes kind of glaze over, and she says, well, I'm sure you are. That's great. I'm super happy to meet another from Coda City. Welcome.
Two?
Yeah, of course.
You're from there? You didn't just like go?
Born and raised.
Oh my gosh. Well, I gotta let me see if I have any treats or anything. Is it possible that I have anything in my bag that is like a snack from home that she would like?
Sure. Why don't you roll a D100? Is it likely that Tam would keep candy from Coda City?
100,000%. Absolutely.
Then we'll say, then we don't need to roll for it. Just, yeah, you do. If that is totally something that he would have. This is like the
primary thing that he would have packed.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. I would say Coda City, being very much elf influenced, likely the sort of candy or treats that you'd have from Coda City are like almost like herbal butterscotch sorts of candies, which are kind of the soft, chewable sorts of things. Very, very sweet.
Yep, that checks out.
Okay.
He's going to take a couple of those out. They're probably mushy in his pocket. And he's going to go like, here, look, for you, from home.
Oh, no way. I love these. Yitran, no hard feelings, but I might have a new favorite. And you see the Knoll just kind of... as she...
Until you hear me play. I'm not very good.
Well, that's what we're getting. First, give me a minute. And she chews on the candy. And just seems to be savoring it for a moment. You have bought yourself a minute.
While she does that...
Yeah.
While she does that, can I go and just kind of like really lightly put my hand on the hyena guy's shoulder and give him a little bit of guidance so he can get his fingers around the loot a little better?
You're going to give him guidance?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you say? What does your guidance look like?
I think it honestly kind of almost looks like bardic inspiration. It's like kind of not very different. But I think it's very much like, hey, you got this. Practice makes perfect.
I've been practicing for... Oh.
And suddenly, with the kind of... almost the distraction, his claws stop pressing against the strings, and instead the pads of, like, his fingertips do. And he just...
Thanks.
You got it.
And then Tally says, right! That was delicious. Thank you. Oh, it's like a blast from home. Okay. New kid, what do you got? What do you play? What do you know? And
I play the fiddle, and also some lute sometimes, but mostly the fiddle.
And... Well, rip us a chord. Let's see what you got.
Okay. I think so. I actually named Tam after a ballad that I really like, and there's a fiddle tune called Tam Lin that goes really, really fast, and then it goes kind of faster and faster and faster. And it's just like this really high energy kind of vibe that I associate with him. So I think he's going to play.
Yeah. All right.
He's going to play that.
Okay, roll me performance. A 16. Okay. You roll a natural 10 plus 6. So as you begin to play, and as the pace begins to pick up, you see Tally's like nodding along with it. And any notes that are slightly misstrung or any beats that are just slightly off, she doesn't seem to care. Instead, she seems to be swallowed up by the speed of what you're playing and the energy of it and how fast it's going. And she is just beginning to jam along with you. And as you're playing, she pulls a long, very long... Do you know what a shamisen is?
Yeah.
She pulls a shamisen off of her back, and she begins to strum along with you and catching up with what you're playing. And I will roll performance with her for her to see how she plays with you, because this is something she would totally do right now. Okay, she's the instructor, so she rolled it really well. But she's playing with you, and for just a moment, you feel just included. You feel like the way that she's playing is incorporating the notes that you're playing, and before you know it, you've been playing for 10 minutes.
Amazing. I love it. I mean, Tam's not gonna like stop. He's just gonna like go into a different song. Like
Yeah.
she's gonna need to redirect him if she wants him to not to do anything else.
Okay. It takes like 30 minutes. It takes like 30 minutes of just continuously playing the two of you. Like you're standing there, she's standing there, and you're both just jamming out until finally she actually, like the pick that she's using on the shamisen flips out of her fingers and she says, "Oh, fuck. We have things we have to do. Okay, awesome. Great. You're going to be fantastic." And she puts the shamisen, slings it back over her shoulder, and she says, "Okay, really good first impression. Let me tell you, take notes, you two." As she's looking at the other two students who just look exhausted. And you get the feeling, if this is how her energy is all the time, for Tam, it's going to fit just right. Clearly not everybody is this high energy, but it seems like Tam will match.
Chest is all puffed out. He's very excited and proud.
Yes. And then she says, "Where are my manners? I'm sorry. This my good friend here is Yithrun Longclaw from Silatok." And she puts a hand on the Knoll's shoulder. Who has, at this point, the lute is like down between his legs, and he was just watching as you two were playing, and he says,
Nice. Very good. Good to meet you.
You.
And then she looks over at the other, and she like steps over and presses a hand on the shoulder of the red-haired woman, and she says, "This is Nore Skildjar. Did I say that right?" And she says, "Skildjar. I tried. Nore from Terracona? What did you call it?" And it's just like an awkward moment. And Nore says, "I'm from the Drake Shores."
Do I know where that is?
Roll a history?
Look at my terrible intelligence. Nope.
You do not. You've never even heard of him.
Wow. Oh, I don't know what that place is. You gotta tell me stories about that place.
She looks at you and she kind of sizes you up and she says, "Are you worth a story?"
Yeah. And I can give you one back.
We'll see about that. Which is perhaps not the reaction you were expecting from a stranger, but it seems as though this person is a little bit maybe not so social, even though she's in the bard class. You see also this person is covered in weapons. From her belt, you see there are various blades, and on her back hangs a shield, which strikes you as odd for a bard or a minstrel. But in her right hand, you do see what looks like a flute, so must be in the right place. It just strikes you as a little weird. I'm going off your passive insight here, which is not great, so
yeah,
this is what you're getting.
Completely, totally fair. Tess, this is not.
Yeah. Tally, feeling as though introductions have been made, she says, "All right. What made you come here?"
Well, music.
Great start.
And also, I met this really great guy. His name is Adon. I don't know if you know him. He was here, but as a cleric to the fiddler.
Adon. Long hair elf guy?
Yeah,
Yep.
That's him.
Yeah, I know him. He does contracts every once in a while. I'm pretty sure his team's out in Saris right now. You'd have to talk to Kirsch about that.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in a bit, but I met him and I didn't know about the fiddler, and now I do. And so I came here so I could, first of all, be better as an instrumentalist. That's really important. But also to, learn about the fiddler and, learn how to be a bard. I never got to do that where I'm from. So I
Well-
want to do it now.
Well, the most important part of what I'm going to teach you is how to work with a team, how to be a mercenary. Are you ready for that?
Yeah, I can do that.
That's kind of everything here. So you're going to train here for about a year, and then I'm going to give you a final. And push comes to shove, either you're going to be good enough and we sign you to a team and you go off and save people and make lots and lots and lots of money, or you don't and you don't. But
Okay,
there's
can
no
live with that.
pressure. There's no pressure, because if you botch it, you can show up with 100 more gold and try again another year.
Wow. That's pretty good. Wait, so this exam,
Mhm.
is it like a team exam?
No, okay, so over the year, as I'm teaching you, because you signed up for my course here as a bard, I'm gonna see what you're good at and what you're not, and then I'm gonna create a test just for you.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And if you pass, if I'm impressed with what you got, even if you think you might fail the exam, you might not. It depends on how you perform. If you impress me, maybe you pass, even though you think you
Okay.
fail.
Well, I can be pretty impressive. And hopefully, I'm going to learn to be even more impressive.
I like that attitude. It's a really great start. The first things first, though. Have you been around the town?
No, I pretty much just came off the boat and then came straight here. I was really excited.
Okay, that's fine. The rest of the evening, after this little get-together, is after you've seen around the academy, the rest of the evening's yours. Tomorrow morning, I need you here sharp and square at 7 o'clock, because that's when we're going to start actually getting down to the nitty-gritty. But a few places I recommend you explore. Out in Ferrum, I suggest you go by the Merry Guard. Clever name, I know. I spend a lot of our students here. You can ask Nori. I send her there all the time. A good way just to get practice as a bard is to shut the hell up and listen. Listen to the stories they have to tell. You get your stories, you make a song out of them. That's what the fiddler did. That's what we do.
Well, I'm going to do all the things that the fiddler did. Okay, good. Yeah, I got it.
Next,
I'm pretty good at listening sometimes.
well, it's super important. So,
I'm better at that than I am at reading.
great reading's not so valuable unless you're reading music. If you're a reader, you go talk to Tabernac upstairs. He's the wizard instructor. Sometimes when we have questions, we go to him. But we know magic. I mean, look! And she gestures around this music room that you're in. And the walls are covered in shelves full of books and scrolls and all sorts of things. At a glance, many of them are clearly musical transcriptions. But there are also clearly histories and lores and spells.
I
It's
don't know
not-
if I've ever been in a library I liked before.
Well, get used
I
to
like
it.
this one. I like this one a lot.
Good. You're going to spend a lot of time here. Some of us are better at certain things than others. It all depends on what sort of focus you're going to go for. As you could tell, good old Nora here's trying to be the school of swords. I suppose that's obvious because
Oh.
she's bristling with them.
Yeah, it's like your porcupine, Nori.
Nora
Except
just
with
kind
swords
of
instead of
scowls.
You're gonna like me. You're gonna like me.
We'll see. Prove it.
Okay, I will.
My good friend Yitron here, he's a little bit of a slow learner. He hasn't made up what his mind is. He doesn't really know what he's going for. But that's okay. Not everyone can be decided as soon as they show up. And the Knoll Man is back to fingering at the lute. And it does sound better. It seems as though he's picked up a little bit of the trick from your guidance.
Hey.
Now-
Do I have to pick what I want to focus on now?
No, not at all. Sometimes we don't know what we're going to focus on until our adventures lead us there. And that's all about making a story, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, I like it here.
Yeah, me too. Now, I end the class every day at 5 o'clock, because any later than that, and I can't have a good time down at the Merry Guard, and I'm really not okay with that, so... We gotta have our priorities, you know, the work-life balance, and I work so that I can go drink. And I imagine you'll have maybe not a similar situation, I don't know who you are. Not yet, anyway. But that's how I choose to live my life, and it's working alright for me so far.
You get to just hang out every evening
Yeah.
without working?
Isn't it great?
I've never done that before either.
Oh, get used to it.
Oh man,
You signed up for a
this place
bard.
is the best.
You signed up for the Bard class, Tam. We're not fucking around here. We are going to do so much relaxing, you won't even know what to do with yourself. You totally cut out. I don't know what you said.
Oh, sorry, he was just excited. I love it.
Okay. First things first, though. You gotta go spend the rest of the evening getting accustomed to the surroundings here. Because you can never be truly creative unless you're actually comfortable with where you are. And I need to hear what sort of golden gems are waiting to fall out of that head of yours.
So you want me to get you a story?
I want you to go have a good time.
You're not giving me like homework.
No. Fuck off. Go. Relax. Explore the city. Learn where you are. That's what I want you to do. Just don't get hurt. Too bad.
Say that again?
Don't get hurt too badly. That's all.
Oh, well, yeah, okay. I mean, if I get hurt, I'm pretty good at fixing it. Okay, cool. I'll go, have fun, I guess.
Yeah. You got the rest of the day.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Bye.
I'll see you tomorrow. And then she turns to Norre and she says, right. You need to work on being more polite. That was fucking rude. And you see Norre just like grasps the flute and she says, I'm working on it. Do you leave the room or are you hanging out in here? What are you doing? You have...
Sam leaves the room. Can I just do a quick insight check on Nori to see like anything that she would like, anything that might make her smile?
Okay, yeah, roll insight.
Because he has a mission now. It's a dumb mission, but it's his mission. Okay, 7.
7. You think Nori probably wants one of your candies?
Oh no. Okay, yeah. He'll offer a candy.
Nore is like holding the flute and she looks at you and says, No, thanks. And you see like she reins it in.
Hey. You're gonna like me though.
I'm just go away. Just go away. I'm trying to learn a song.
He's gonna offer the candy to, I can't remember, sorry, the name of the
Yithrun is the name of the knoll.
Ethra.
Yithrun.
He's gonna offer the candy to him instead.
The knoll looks at it and says,
For me, oh.
he takes it and immediately, like wrapper and all, just chucks it into his mouth and just Knolls don't really have cheeks, so it's kind of like watching someone just chew with their entire mouth. And as he's chewing it, he says,
Very good. Very good. Thank you.
You have some interesting taste, my man. Okay, bye everybody. I'll see you tomorrow. He'll run off.
Okay. As you emerge from the Bard's classroom, once more you are in front of Maxwell, who is...
If Maxwell is still there, he has completely forgotten about Maxwell and probably has run like right by him.
Okay. As you run out the room, you hear, In a hurry, are you?
You're still here.
Aye.
Oh, that's right. You were going to show me a room, right? Oh, I'm sorry. I got ahead of myself. Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you get paid by the hour. That must have been really boring.
It's fine. I found a way to occupy myself. Let's...
What'd you do? Can I ask?
No. Maxwell gestures for you to follow him as he begins walking down the hall farther down, and it's only like 2 more doors down before he suddenly stops, and there is a door that is slightly recessed into the wall in an alcove, and he opens the door, and you see inside is 5 doors. And he says, door on the left, that's the Knowles. Door on the right, that's Nora's, I think her name is. Any other door you can have.
There's one in the middle.
There's 3 in the middle.
There's 3 in the middle.
there's 5
He'll
total.
take the one that's closest to Norris. He's determined.
When you select that door, Maxwell reaches into a bag and pulls out a brass key and hands it to you.
We're gonna be friends, damn it.
Maxwell just says, I wish you the best of luck.
Hey, you've been here a long time, right?
A little while, aye.
So you know who's nice. Who's nice?
Widget.
Widget. Who's Widget?
Widget's the artifice instructor. Should you happen to bump into her, she's very kind.
Okay. Oh, what about this Tabernacle guy? What do you know about him?
Well, he's a brass dragon.
What?
Most people know that. Tabernacle is...
Dragon?
Yes.
You have a dragon here.
He teaches wizarding. Yes. He's upstairs, end of the hall, the tower. You go up there. 3rd story. You can go talk to him yourself if you like. He can also be very nice. He also will talk your ear off if you let him. So, be aware of that.
Okay. Oh, do you know... Shoot. Tam would remember her name, but I do not. The cleric instructor?
Varian Treat.
Variant Treat. Do you know her?
Varian... He's... grouchy is the best way I can place it. He's perhaps a little tired of healing foolhardy adventurers. But he's a nice guy. He just doesn't like to talk very much.
He sounds like a lot of the clerics I know.
And he thinks a lot of people do it wrong.
Do what wrong?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Whatever it is you're doing, he likely has a story of someone doing it better than you.
Yeah, it reminds me of my dad.
Maybe they're cut from the same cloth, as it were.
Could be. Well, thanks for your intel. I really appreciate it.
Hey,
Do you need to hang out anymore, or are you all done for today? With me, anyway.
I'm done. I'm just going to head back to the selections room and wait for any more new students. You're welcome to stop by and ask me questions if you need to. I would say you could ask Persh, but he doesn't always have the patience for it. He
doesn't seem to like it when I ask him questions.
He just has a lot of work to do. Don't take it personal.
How did he get hired here? Must have been a...
He started this place.
What?
Well, he didn't.
He started it?
He didn't personally start it, but he was among the few.
Wow. I asked him what he studied, and he said he hadn't studied anything. But clearly he's been studying the people.
That's a good way to put it.
Huh.
There's no one who's seen quite as many adventurers come and go as Persh has. He's been here since the beginning. So, I'm sure he's seen a lot of people come in, sign up, go out, and die.
What does he like to drink?
He kind of looks at you. You see the corner of his lips kind of just creak up a little bit. And he says, I hear he's quite fond of Black Devil whiskey.
It is clear that that Tam is thinking about this and committing it to memory. Thanks, Maxwell.
Anytime. Don't tell Persh I told you that, though.
I won't. Promise.
Maxwell kind of tips a finger to you and heads off.
Okay, I'm gonna look at my new room.
Your room has within it, there are 4 beds in this room. They're all kind of surrounding a pillar so that each bed has its own little privacy, with a nook created by a dresser. And then at the end of the bed is a large footlocker. It is clear no one occupies this room. You're the only occupant at the moment. All the beds are nicely made. Everything smells clean, and there are pine buffs all across the floor that makes the room smell very fresh. One of the windows is open. It keeps it nice and not stale. So it is a pleasant feeling as you enter this room.
I'm gonna close the door and kind of sit on the bed for a minute and kind of go through his stuff
Okay.
that's from Coda City.
Okay.
And I imagine, I don't know what kind of trinkets it would make the most sense for him to have from home other than his little candies. I don't know if like pictures really exist. Actually, I know what he would do. He would make he has minor illusion.
If you'd
So-
like, we can roll a trinket table.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I love that.
Okay. See what we got here. Why don't you go ahead and roll me a D100? How nostalgic is Tim? Would you have a few things? Would you have a bunch of things? Would you have one thing?
I think he would have like not a million, but like 4 or 5.
Okay, why don't you roll me a D6, and that'll be how many trinkets you've got.
Okay, that makes sense.
Just little knickknacks and things that remind you of home. 2.
2.
All right, roll me a D100.
100.
Okay.
Oh wait,
Huh.
maybe not. Did I not? Did it roll?
It rolled. You rolled a 100 on a D100.
Damn. Okay.
The first thing you pull out of your bag is a tiny. It's likely something that your parents gave to you a long time ago, and they said it's contains the ashes of a hero from long ago, but it's a little metal capsule basically. Looks like it's made of brass and it's old and tarnished.
The ashes of a hero. Do I know anything about it other than that?
How much would you have paid attention?
Good question. I feel like if it's a story that they're telling me, I would have paid attention. If
Okay.
it's something I had to read about in a book, not so much.
In that case, roll me a history at advantage.
It's... Still not great. Not
6.
a lot of attention from
The
him.
only thing you really remember is the name Erdan Fehana.
Erdan Feha.
I can write that down for you.
Oh. It's gonna set that in a safe place. And I have one more trinket?
Yep. Roll another D100. Okay.
I can't have happened
Roll-
twice.
So click on the bottom right. You'll see
Yeah.
there's a D100. If you mouse over it, it looks like 2 dice on the button.
Oh, 2 dice. Okay. That makes sense. That's easy.
A 7. Okay. Okay. The other thing you have is a pair of dice that are made of knuckle bone. And each has a kind of... Well, actually, roll me... so type in /r space D50. 46. Okay. The pair of dice has a symbol instead of like where the 6 pips would be.
Sure.
It's a symbol of a horseshoe, but it is split down the middle by what looks like a knife or a dagger. It's on each die.
Interesting. Lucky dice. Lucky
Yeah.
dice.
Sure.
Put them in my pocket.
A pair of lucky
And
dice.
otherwise, kind of get stuff out of the room, kind of clothes, that kind of stuff. I'll spend a little bit of time setting up the room.
Okay.
And then I think so. Like Tam really likes the idea of relaxing, but his life has not had a lot of work-life balance in it.
Sure.
And so I think that like she specifically did not assign him homework,
Yep.
but he's treating this sort of like go explore as like homework, as like you have to go explore the city and get a story. So he's like, okay, I got to get a story.
Okay.
So he'll go outside and wander around and definitely wave enthusiastically to Perch, but not say anything because he doesn't want to bother him.
Persh would glance up over his spectacles at you as you're waving and just nod and go back to what he's doing. But if you are going out to explore Farum, we will pull up the city map. This is the town of Farum. It is mostly dominated by a large road that runs down the middle of the market from the northeastern gate. This main road also splits off toward the Marigard Academy, so when you leave the academy, you're heading straight toward the main road that runs down to town. The main road goes down through the market and then to the docks, which is, there's like this large plaza that is where lots of vendors and people gather. People stop to sell wares, talk. It's almost recreational at this point with how big the Farum market is. And then the southeastern side of the market splits off to the southern docks, which is where many ships stop and imports come in and exports go out. That is what is most obvious to you when you came into the town. You came in at the south docks and you went up through the market.
I noticed that there is Emily notices that there is a chapel not too far away. Would
Okay.
it be possible for him to notice that or not so much?
So the map is deceptive in that it's not a specific chapel. It's like the religious part of town. They call it the chapel. There are a number of small temples there, both inside and outside of the gates. On the inside of the gates, the religious district kind of has a large park, aka East Park. And then on the outside of the gates is where a lot of these stone buildings that make up cathedral-like temples to various deities. So it would be easy for you to find them, to locate them. You would not miss them as you were going down the main road of Farum.
I wouldn't miss them. Okay. Then I think it would be kind of almost against his will, but it would happen regardless.
Okay.
He would end up in that district. He would wander a little bit, but then he would end up in that district.
Okay. As it gets into the afternoon, you begin heading toward the religious section of town. It begins to rain. I just happened to roll that.
That's nice. I imagine that the leather armor he's wearing is not very it's not very good of a raincoat. But I don't think he'd
the
mind.
leather armor is actually very well treated to handle
Oh, great.
water, so you're dry.
He definitely doesn't mind.
Yeah, it's not uncomfortable. It's also not a heavy downpour. It's just like a light cloudburst from the proximity of the water that you're at.
He's worried about the instrument. That would be his only thing. Is he'd be like trying to make sure the instrument's like safe in its pack and
Sure.
messing with it a little bit.
You keep it protected well enough. As you head into the religious district in Farum, the first thing you notice is the largest temple is a stone building that is dedicated to the goddess Ana. You know of Ana. Everybody kind of does. Ana is generally considered the creator or the goddess of fire, the goddess of redemption, forgiveness, new beginnings. Her temple is made of granite that is well hewn, and there is large, bright orange mosaics of a woman with flaming hair, and in between your hands, clasped together, is a globe that many assume is supposed to be Amaranth.
He'll look at that, and I think he's not going to linger too long, but he always needs to have something to do with his hand, so I think he'll make a little minor illusion of the crest, the holy symbol,
Of Ana.
and then kind of pass on by.
Okay. Uh, okay. The symbol for Ana is just a single candle flame within a perfect circle. As you move on past it, the next temple that you notice is not really a temple. It's out, just on the edge of the East Park, where you see there are a number of trees that kind of hang over what look like good picnic areas or places for people to rest and relax. You can see there are tents that are set up, people that are residing there or taking the night here in the East Park. And amongst them, you see a shrine where there is a symbol of a flaming hammer on a field of white. And you know that to be the symbol of Viella, the goddess of freedom and adventures.
He smiles at that and copies the holy symbol in his minor illusion.
Okay.
And then I think he's gonna like actively look for the fiddler, but like, let's be real, he also kind of has his eye out for Magos.
Okay. Roll perception.
I'm rolling so terribly.
You are. You're rolling really badly. It's unfortunate. There are a number
It fits, though.
It does. There are a couple other temples for you to spot. Unfortunately, they are neither those of Magos or the Fiddler. You see outside the larger temple that looks more like a barracks, almost. It looks like it was once maybe a guard post or a watchtower that has been turned into a temple. There is another, it's a smaller flaming warhammer, and it's set across a four-pointed iron star. And you know this to be a temple of Vion, the lawful good god of war and justice.
Okay. I think if he can't find it immediately, he's going to want to get out of there.
Okay.
Because
Yeah,
it's not
I'm
very
afraid
relaxing.
he does not find Magos or the Fiddler.
Yeah, that's fair. He'll come back later, but I think it's kind of overwhelming. Be like, I don't want to. No, I don't want this
Okay.
actually.
Sure. Yeah, he does not find what he's looking for. He does instead find other deities and houses of worship that are not really your scene. And you go elsewhere. Where do you go?
I think you probably want to check out the tavern, the Merry Guard.
Okay.
Not the least because he wants to know how much Black Devil whiskey is.
Sure. The Merry Guard is a large structure. It's clearly well over 2 stories. And as you enter it, you are immediately regaled with the smells and scents of a tavern. It is busy. People are laughing and chattering. It is still raining, though not as noticeable when you're inside. And as you're in this very content and warm building, hold on a second. Where did my mood image go? I've lost it. Everything's ruined. Here we go. As you're in the tavern and there are people milling about, you are immediately greeted at the door as a enormous, muscled golden dragonborn looks at you, and she just nods.
He is enchanted by the fact that it's a golden dragonborn. Obviously enchanted. Smiles really wide, and then goes in.
The next thing that you are regaled by as you are in is there is a number of tables that you can sit at. A lot of them are fully occupied, but there are some empty ones. And then across the room from you is a wide bar with many stools, some of them occupied, and you see there is a bald, very tall human behind it. And as you're looking around, a almost ridiculously just outlandish, buxom dwarven barmaid next to you says, "Hi, welcome to the Merry Guard. Would you like to have a seat? I can get you a drink."
Yeah. Yeah. I would love. Yeah, I will have a seat. Tell me what's good. I'm new in town.
"Oh, fantastic. Have a seat at the bar and Boone will take care of you.
Thanks.
He has all the best stories. Tell him I sent you.
What's your name?
Just call me Roharth." As she's, like, heading to another table. Do you head to the bar as she is recommending?
Yeah, I would totally 100% be like, "Yep, barmaid knows what she's talking about."
Okay. As you arrive at the bar, this tall, burly human, missing all the hair on top of his head, kind of sets a mug down in front of the customer and looks to you and says, "Welcome to the Merry Guard. What can I get you?"
Oh yeah. What should I have?
"Well, are you looking to get fucked up or here to have a good time?"
Have a good time. I've been assigned to have a good time.
You've been right. Well, you're another Merry Guard, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm a bard now. Well, it's supposed to training to be.
Well, I
Oh,
wish you...
Roharth sent me. By the way, she says that you have the best stories.
That I'm sure she did. You see he kind of looks over his nose toward the dwarven barmaid who's helping another customer. And he says, "Perfect. Well, if you're new around here, the elderberry ale is always good. But that's an impart. How do you feel about that?"
I'm okay with imports. I like things that are sweet. Is it sweet?
"It is. It's very fruity for an ale."
Perfect. Love it.
"All right, 3 copper, please."
Okay. 3
And
copper from my 15 starting gold.
as you pay up, he provides you with a tall tankard of elderberry ale, which... Has your character been to a tavern before?
Definitely.
Okay,
Not like frequently, but he lives in a city.
sure. In that case, you're not unfamiliar with elderberry ale. It is very well known for being this almost mystical ale that's supposed to put years on your life. What is true for certain is that it is delicious. You've had it before. It is very widespread and very well known. It's Tridonian, and it is said to have been brewed by halflings for centuries.
Excellent.
So, you are provided a tankard of that. It is delicious, and as you sit there, Boone is looking over at different customers that he's helping, and he looks back to you and he says, "I can't seem to place your accent. Where is it you're from?"
City?
"Go to city."
Far away.
That
was a
is
long trip.
far. You had a safe journey, I assume.
Yeah, I'm here. It was really great. I've never been on a boat for that long before.
Thank the gods you didn't happen across a Leviathan.
Yeah. Would have been a cool story, though. If I lived.
If you lived. The last story I heard about a Leviathan spoke of a pair of vampires traveling across the Crystal Ocean, and their boat, the Queen of the Wake, was swallowed beneath the waves by a Leviathan just in the Bay of Toil outside of Ceres.
What happened? Were the vampires... I mean, they're vampires, right? Were they okay? Were they not okay?
They lived. Who else would have told the story? They said that they managed to save the captain of the ship only because he became a seagull. They carried him
He
ashore.
became a seagull?
Mm-hmm.
Like, could he do that before? Or was that new?
That part's not really very clear. I never asked, honestly.
Huh.
Maybe the vampires turned him into a seagull, and so they could carry him safely.
Vampires can turn people into seagulls? I thought they only turned people into vampires.
Not all vampires are the same, mind you. We have a vampire that comes in here every so often.
Really?
Have you ever met a vampire?
No, I don't think so.
Well, that's a fair point. They might not always want to keep it so open that they're a vampire. But, for the most part, they're just like people, just like you and me. And if a vampire happened to have that bit of magic up their sleeve, I'm sure turning the captain into a seagull wouldn't be beyond their means.
Oh, so all vampires can't turn them into seagulls. It's just some vampires.
I'm sure.
Wow. That's a good trick.
Wouldn't it be?
I want to be a seagull, but only for like a little while, just to see what it's like.
Well, you're a student of the Merigard, ain't you?
Yeah.
Maybe that's a thing they could teach you.
Really?
I'm
I
sure.
could learn how to turn someone into a seagull? Can I turn
Eventually.
myself into a seagull?
I don't know. You're getting a little bit out of my
Wow.
pay grade here.
Oh, I'm sorry. My dad says I have a big imagination.
That's good to have. What is it you're at the Merigard for? You're trying to become a...
A bard. He's gonna kind of show the fiddle.
Well, a good imagination, I hear, is pretty good for that, isn't it?
I hope so. I like stories. I like ballads.
Well,
I mean, I would play for you, but you probably have people that you pay to play for you.
we do. However, it is pretty common practice for old Tally up at the Merigard Academy to send her bards down here to try and wet their feet and earn tips at the hands of my customers.
I just met her. She's great.
She's certainly a character.
Well, my feet are. Well, I mean, actually, my feet are actually kind of wet because I was outside and it's raining. But I think figuratively, they're pretty dry still. But I'll help however you want me to help. Actually, can I ask you a different question?
I'm sure you can.
How much is a bottle of Black Devil whiskey?
Black Devil whiskey. That's not the sort of thing that I generally keep on the shelves for everyday customers. But a
Oh,
bottle, maybe about 8 gold.
8 gold.
Aye, it's fine. It's fine
That's
stuff.
okay. Okay. I think I need to save up for that. There's a guy that works at the Merigard Academy, and I think he has a lot of stories, but he
Hmm.
doesn't want to tell them. So I got to think of a way to get him to tell me the stories.
And do you think Black Devil whiskey is the key to do so?
I know it is.
The man has expensive tastes, I'll say that.
Yeah. Hey, you wouldn't happen to have any, like, work I might be able to do to earn some money so I could get that whiskey from you someday?
Well, I don't happen. No offense, but you don't seem the most broad shouldered of lads to carry crates and cargo about.
Oh, well, that's true. I guess I'm not.
What sort of skills do
But,
you have?
well, I mean, I play the fiddle, but that's like, I'm pretty good at talking to people.
Uh huh.
Um, I know a little bit about magic. Oh, I know. I I'm pretty good at healing people sometimes, a little bit.
Right.
Oh, and I can fix things.
I think perhaps you should be spending your efforts if you're looking for work with those talents. You should go have a conversation with the physicers.
The what?
The physicers just down the street.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna drink this ale first. It's really good though.
I imagine so. You paid for it, after all.
Yeah. Hey, can I tell you a story?
I'd be happy to hear it.
I mean, unless you're busy.
He kind of looks around at the lack of customers that are coming up to the bar and he says, I think I have the time.
So, there was this cat and this fiddler that had the cat. And the cat learned how to dance because the fiddler played the cat. He played songs so well. And the cat could dance really, really well. And like every time he would kind of like, travel around him and his cat. And he would like jam and the cat would dance and it was great. And all the kids came and watched it and it was great. And then the one day this like really rich merchant guy was like, "Hey, your cat is amazing. I want to buy your cat. They can dance." And the fiddler was like, "No, no, no, cat's not for sale." And they left town and everything, and eventually they went and they danced. The king was like, "I got to see this fiddler with this dancing cat. This is incredible. I want to see this dancing cat." So they went to the king, right? And the king is like, "I want to see the dancing cat." And so fiddler plays his fiddle, and the cat dances, and it's all great. And it's really fun. Everyone's dancing, and then the king is like, "Well, I want this cat." And the fiddler's like, "Cat's not for sale." And the king is like, "I'm the king. I'm gonna take your cat." And so he does take the cat, and he throws the fiddler out, and everybody's sad. But then he finally is like, "Okay, cat, dance for me." Cat's mad. But then the cat does dance. And so then everybody else dances with him. And then they find out that they can't stop dancing because cat's unhappy. And so they dance and they dance and they dance and they dance. And they can't stop dancing. And like the king is like, "Whoa, cat, slow down, stop dancing." And the cat is like mad at him. So the cat doesn't stop dancing. And then he finally only stops dancing after they dance all the way back to where the fiddler is. The cat's leading the line, right? And they lead the line all the way around the town. And then they get to the fiddler. And finally, the king is like, "Fine, you can have your cat back." And then they stop dancing. And then the cat and the fiddler live happily ever after.
That's quite a story.
It's a good story. I like it.
You hear from next to you another customer at the bar. One you don't recognize, but is kind of a friendly looking half orc. Very kind of lean, almost like just gangly. This half orc man looks and says, "I liked it too. Where'd you hear that one?"
Eat it up.
"Oh, it's fantastic." And he sets a copper on the counter for you and says, "May that tip be the first of many."
Oh, thanks. I feel like a real bard.
The half orc kind of downs his drink, nods to Boone, and like makes his way out. And Boone looks to you and says, "Off to a good start, looks like."
Guess so. Well, thanks for the ale and for listening to my story.
"Thank you for the story."
I guess I'll see more of you because Tully says we're here a lot.
"Oh, she's here almost every night. The girl knows how to drink."
Hey, what does she like to drink?
Uh, you see Boone kind of pick up the menu and he sets it down and he says, "Well, she likes to say if she's in a soprano sort of mood, she drinks rosé. If she's had a rough day or if she's tired or if she's in a good mood, she has the Port Wagon Porter. And if she's remembered her ex-boyfriend, she likes the worst ice in whiskey. So
You like which whiskey is the ex-boyfriend whiskey?
he points at it on the menu for you.
Huh. It is clear. It is clear that like Tam is taking notes, if only in his head.
Okay. I can. He will show you the menu, and I will show you it right now. Actually,
Sorry, I know I'm going off the beaten path here.
It's fine.
But he's a bard. He likes to know people.
so the ex-boyfriend whiskey is the Mug and Tooth whiskey. The I'm sorry, not rosé. The Riesling is what she drinks whenever she's having a poetic day, and then the porter is what she has almost every other time.
Incredible. Okay, great. He now knows some information about the drink choices of his teacher.
It's true.
He is gonna go. He'll finish his ale to last drop.
Okay.
And they told him to go to Physiker, so he's gonna go to Physiker.
Okay. then we will go back to the map here. The Physiker is... So, the Marigard Tavern is here. This large building just off that main road approaching the academy. The Physiker is this small building here, right on the corner. It is a handsome little building that's made of wood, and it just says in a very almost difficult to read scripted font, Physicery on the top of it.
Great. Would he know anything? And he's pretty close. He's far away from Saris. Does he know anything about Physicers?
Physicers are all over Amaranth, and typically they are just like what you'd think of analog for like a doctor. Typically they are artificers that practice medicine. They can do complicated healing. They can make spell components. They are a bit of a combination between an apothecary and a doctor.
Necessarily a cleric.
They're not a cleric. They have no divine magic at all. They specifically tend to those who would prefer or are not accustomed to divine magic, or if they, for some reason, cannot be tended to at a temple.
Okay. This is interesting. I don't think he's really used to this kind of healing, but he'll poke his head in and kind of look around and see what's up.
You see that in this building there is, it's mostly, in this part of the building, is just a number of places to sit. There is a counter, and then you see there is a large room that is open, and there's no doors. It's all very open archway. And as you look in, the door kind of goes, ding, and you hear coming from the other room, one moment, I'll be right with you.
Hey, take your time. Kind of poke around. Sure. I'm not hurt. I'm not hurt. I just want to help if I can.
One moment. And then there's the sound of a sliding of a stool, and then a tall, black-haired half-orc with glasses that he's taking off as he puts them away into a long coat. It doesn't take you much to notice this man has a noble upbringing. And as he looks in at you, he kind of says, good afternoon. How may I help you? You said you were looking.
Hi, my name's Tam.
Tam. I'm Zurich.
Zurich. Nice to meet you. I'm new in town.
Mm-hmm. Welcome.
I wondered, so my parents are clerics, and I'm not like really well trained or anything, but I know a little bit about healing and fixing stuff at the chapel, and I wondered if maybe I could help you at all, maybe earn some coin, or just kind of see what it is that you do.
I can always use a helping hand. What sort of skills do you have? You said you can heal. By what means?
Kind of the divine kind.
Is this just the simple cure wounds, or is there more to it than that?
No, just I'm pretty good. Like, I can cure wounds. I mean, I also like I can fix stuff that's broken. Like, I'm pretty good at mending stuff. I got good bedside manner. I'm pretty good at talking to people and setting them at ease.
Well, that is notable. I frequently have customers come in who I've had to manufacture prosthesis or splints for, these sorts of things, and should they break, I can always use an extra hand. Have you had any official training in artifice or physicery before?
No, sir, I'm sorry.
That's quite all right. I'm just getting a gauge for what it is you do know. Well, I'm going to be... unfortunately, a physicer's life never truly rests, does it? I'll be having customers in whenever the need calls for it, but after 5 o'clock, typically, I handle emergency cases only. That doesn't seem to mean that my time slows at all, unfortunately. How much time are you willing to devote to my practice?
I'm a student at the Marigard, but apparently we get some time off in the evenings after 5 o'clock. So maybe an hour or two in the evenings?
Of course. We will handle this by case-by-case basis, then. Should you happen to be here when a customer arrives and requires aid, we can see what it is that you do know. Does that sound amenable to you?
That sounds fine. I appreciate it.
Perfect. In the meantime, how are you with tools? You know,
Uh, what kind of tools?
tinkers' tools, smiths' tools, leatherworkers, carpentry, those sorts of things.
Uh,
Good with your hands, maybe?
I'm pretty dexterous. If you have something, let's see. I can fix things that are broken, but only by magic.
Ah, I see. You're referring to the mending spell, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. Yes, that is useful, but limited in its use, as it cannot create new material. I see you, you do wear the Marigod's vestments, as it were. Should this be a thing that you intend, I could always use musical accompaniment when handling complex tasks. Should you be willing to maybe provide bardic inspiration, I could use it.
You want a soundtrack? I can do that.
It can prove itself most useful in times of difficult trial. I have benefited from it many times before in my travels. I'm afraid Annika is not always here to aid me, and so, should you be around to assist, I would be grateful.
I would be happy to, sir.
I'm sorry, what did you say your name was again?
Temerity.
Temerity.
Goldhorn.
Temerity Goldhorn. I am Zurich Silver, and it is a pleasure to meet you.
A pleasure to meet you too, sir.
I think perhaps we will have a very successful relationship here.
I hope so. Do you want me to play you a song now, even though you're not working?
I'd love to hear what you've got, as it were.
Sure. Take out fiddle.
Roll up
This seems
performance.
this seems important. Can I guidance myself before I perform?
Yeah.
Cool. There's a D4. And perform.
Okay. So it's
One day I will roll well.
One day.
One day.
So you rolled a 13 on performance. You're proficient with this fiddle, so it might not be the best performance you've played, but you play it competently. With a 13 total, Zurek the Physiker seems to get into the music that you're playing, and he says, "Yes, this will do well enough, I believe. Shall we plan on 7 o'clock tomorrow evening for you to arrive?
Perfect.
I will arrange for my next surgery to be around then. So, do we have a deal?"
We have a deal. Thanks, sir.
Of course. And he kind of smiles at you, and the half-orc retreats back into the office that he was in.
Hey, I got a job.
You got a job. And as you get a job, I think that is going to be a good spot for us to stop today.
Yeah, perfect.
All right, so...
Yeah. I got a job and a whole bunch of preferences about ale.
Yep, you did. I didn't expect that, but you did do that.
Sorry. Thanks for thinking on your feet.
No worries. That's my job. All right, so what did you think?
I loved it. It was great.
Okay.
I appreciate because I've listened to all the sessions that you've done already that are posted, and so I kind of know what people do, and I promise I wasn't trying to throw you curveballs on purpose, but my thought was, this is a guy that likes people, so he's just going to ask a whole bunch of questions.
Oh, that's totally fine. It's just the people you're asking questions to, they don't typically have questions asked of them, which is fun for
That's
me
what I
because then I
figured.
have to think about them. So, no, I'm glad you did
Yeah.
it, and also, I think it's gonna be fun. So, I'm gonna stop
I
the
think it's
recording
really
here.
fun.